On September 17th, Canadian philosopher and clinical psychologist Jordan Peterson published what he dubbed A Conservative Manifesto. He suggests that those with traditional values could also use this as a guide. The Conservative Manifesto is what it's called, and it's an attempt to begin the process of sketching out a future vision for the center-right and traditional liberal fronts. Want to hear more on this? We've got you covered. First up, what's in the Conservative Manifesto? Peterson, a University of Toronto professor emeritus and best-selling author of 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos, said he worked on the manifesto intensely and specifically over the previous 4 months. He also mentioned that the title is supposed to imply a contradiction to Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto. Peterson claims this is a conservative manifesto, so his best guess is that it's just going to be one of many, and he doubts it'll be the last word on the matter. He also clarified that his manifesto is not intended to serve as a propaganda tool. It's intended to be, well, an invitation at best. A series of concepts that Peterson refers to as foundational principles makes up his manifesto. He feels that the contemporary political atmosphere is influenced by dominant ideologies and movements like identity politics, which he claims endangers the trust upon which peace and prosperity must depend and weaken the spirit of our sons and daughters. Up next, Peterson's solution. Peterson posed an interesting question for those who continue to hold traditional values in these times. He's basically asked, what can those who make a valiant effort to uphold and demonstrate faith in the conventional values of our past give in such circumstances? He then went on to outline a set of values he urges conservatives to uphold. The inevitability of economic inequality and the practical realities of the individual competence, according to Peterson, could be added to the list of values along with humility, liberty, autonomy, truth, agency, identity, merit, responsibility, tradition, community, stewardship, justice, and unity. Peterson's list of conservatives' ethical obligations also includes the traps they ought to stay clear of. Conservatives, according to him, shouldn't just appeal to skepticism and resentment and share the opinion that our social and political institutions are essentially unreliable, crooked, and untrustworthy, he said. A moral code that is notable primarily for its joylessness, sterility, and inclination to forbid and damn is something that Peterson advised against upholding. Instead, he encourages a bold and straightforward conveyance of the abandoned, everlasting veridities to all who now wander, thirst, and starve in their absence. Moving on, let's look into some of Peterson's other work. To really understand where he's coming from in the Conservative Manifesto, it helps to look into another famous piece by him. The most popular Jordan B. Peterson book, 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos, published in 2018, is a thorough examination of how people should handle hardship in life. Peterson explains 12 fundamental principles that will result in an ethical and generally comfortable life by drawing from biology, anthropology, psychology, history, and mythology, as well as from great philosophers and religions. According to Peterson's worldview, for many years, Western societies have been renouncing religion and tradition. Both nihilism and ideology have emerged to fill the hole left by these institutions. On the one hand, meaninglessness, and on the other, totalitarian ideologies like communism and fascism claim to be the best for humanity. These two options both result in hopelessness in the end. To Peterson, in order to derive tried and true guidelines for living, it's important to look back at the old wisdom of religion and mythology. So we get the idea that he has a pretty mainstream religious approach overall, and that's exactly what he incorporates into all of his work. Next, how popular is Peterson's ideology in truth? We've compiled a few comments listeners of Peterson left after looking into the Conservative Manifesto. One reaction states that the document is such a significant and powerful one, especially at a time like this when the wisdom of broad-minded, serious thinkers is really needed. Peterson's dedication to both the people he's currently addressed in his manifesto and the larger society and its institutions was greatly praised. It was further stated that his commitment to introducing other brilliant thinkers through his DW interviews is particularly admired. In the end, there's also also a suggestion left for the doc. He should think about interviewing Dr. Thomas Sowell if he's up to it. It would be amazing, according to the anonymous tipper. Lastly, here's where Peterson's controversy lies. The man holds a lot of beliefs that upset people all the time. We're going to be sharing some of them with you now so you can make your own decision. First thing most people find problematic is the fact that he makes no delineation between expression of gender from that of a binary biological sex, claiming the two are inextricably linked to one another despite a looming mountain of evidence to the contrary. In addition, Peterson has rallied his base around anti-trans sentiment and has failed to instruct his followers to not engage in openly transphobic rhetoric. Nobody wants to believe that there are machines attempting to create more machines. However, that is the stance that each and every person in a subject that begins with the word evolutionary takes, and tends to be a hard sell in conservative circles. Another stance he has, before you start yelling at other people about their shit, clean your room or take care of your own. Most people don't notice this. If you're a screamer, it will greatly annoy you. According to Peterson, college campuses are a big issue. And if you're a college student, you don't know anything. So hold off on telling your elders they're terrible until you do. This is told to students while ignoring the reality that Jordan Peterson has made a cottage industry of touring college campuses promoting his brand of conservative ideology to those students. Aside from the obvious patronization and potential ageism, we are either meant to agree with Peterson's worldview or are simply too ignorant and need to get in line. Lastly, his most popular stance, it's you and not them. You have control over your future. If it's them, your fate is in their hands. A conservative maxim as old as time itself. People are both simultaneously victimized systematically and contribute to their own undoing in nuanced and complicated ways. Approaching the world with a sense of control, even if it is a facade to get you from point A to point B, seems to be at the core of the Conservative Manifesto. Now, onto other news. First up, Jordan Peterson appears to have enjoyed his visit to Britain's strictest school. Jordan Peterson appeared this week at Britain's strictest school. He's also a controversial right-wing professor known for his 12 Rules for Life, dead-naming actor Elliot Page, and making a condescending pitch to his Muslim admirers. So people were understandably bothered. Headmistress Catherine Burblesing is in charge of Michaela Community School in Wembley, where students must walk in a single line and refrain from speaking to one another between lectures. Messy work, being late, or not having a pen to write with can result in detentions. Look who's at Michaela today. Miss Burblesing tweeted as she posted 2 images of Mr. Peterson at the school. Despite pictures of Mr. Peterson being far from pleased at his predicament on social media, she continued by saying that the commentator was touched and tears dropped as students wished him a good morning. Up next, Ronaldo poses next to Peterson. After sharing a picture of himself on Instagram with right-wing psychologist Jordan Peterson, Cristiano Ronaldo has come under fire. Due to his polarizing opinions on masculinity, COVID-19 vaccines, and transgender persons in recent years, Peterson has become a contentious figure. Peterson's Twitter account was terminated in 2017 after targeting actor Elliot Page, a trans man, through dead-naming practices and claiming that Elliot had mutilated their body and should not be an example for children. This unprovoked, malicious non sequitur resulted in his account termination. Peterson has referred to himself as a professor who stands against political correctness during his climb to popularity and has been particularly loud about masculinity. The 60-year-old has said that the masculine spirit is under attack and that the general idea that women were oppressed throughout history is crap. But Ronaldo does not seem to be bothered by these opinions, as the Portuguese football player posed next to Peterson for a picture on Saturday. Many fans were upset with Ronaldo's choice to pose for a photo with the far-right activist. Lastly, Peterson on Queen's death. Controversial Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson asserted that the United Kingdom accomplished more than any other nation to end slavery during a written homage to Queen Elizabeth II. The right-wing commentator made his remarks remarks regarding slavery in a column for the British daily The Telegraph that was published on the day of the late Queen's funeral, despite the fact that he has frequently defended the late monarch and the constitutional monarchy since her passing. According to Peterson, the UK fought the long war to make slavery not only unworkable on the political and economic fronts, but also obviously immoral from a moral standpoint. He claimed that slavery was practiced everywhere, as far back in history as we can tell, and as widespread as any other economic practice, he continued. The one exception was abolition, and even though abolitionist sentiments began to arise in other countries, the UK did more to uphold the prohibitions against slavery abroad. Similar remarks were made by Peterson on the day of the Queen's passing earlier in September, and he shared a video of the speech he had given in Manchester, England on his YouTube page. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on the Conservative Manifesto? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.